Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Happy post-Valentine's Day, all you lovely EFD people. Joining me today, it's two hot dates. We've got Joe Tomlinson and Chris Hamill.
Lovely intro.
Let's dive straight into the first question. It comes from Menez, who put this forward on Reddit. So make sure you're using our Reddit regularly. We are actually using it on all our shows. Menez, thank you very much for this one. He says, with the relationship between Inter Milan and Mauro Icardi becoming worse than his wife and Maxi Lopez, who do you see the Milano club getting to replace the 20 goals a season striker, and where would his perfect new destination be? Very detailed question. And before we get into who should replace him and where should he go, I thought I'd give a little bit of background to what's gone on this week.
Silla.
Because it has been a big week in the San Siro, well, the blue side of San Siro anyway. On Wednesday, Mauro Icardi was stripped of the captaincy with Samir Handanovic replacing him. This has basically come over, there's been continued protracted talks over a new contract, and they've basically given up hope. I think Beppe Morata's come in and slightly, saw that he was putting himself before the team, and they've stripped him of the captaincy. He then refused to travel to their Europa League game last night against Rapid Vienna, which they eventually won 1-0 thanks to a Lautaro Martinez goal. Spalletti said, I've got the quotes here, he was called up for Vienna, but he did not want to be there. Things around him have disturbed him and the team he captained. Obviously, he would be a big loss to Inter Milan. He joined from Sampdoria in July 2013 for 6.5 million euros, and he's gone on to score 120 goals and provide 24 assists in 198 games. And it's been clear where the blame has been passed, at least from his family. His sister, Ivana Icardi, tweeted that if you had a serious person behind you and taking care of this, this would not happen. Basically, throwing the blame firmly at Wanda Nara, his agent's door. And she'd previously said that Wanda Nara had for brains, quote. So you can see the family and most people think that Wanda Nara has basically told him, you can do a better deal, you need to leave Inter at this time. And she doesn't seem like the best influence, basically, on him. The big issue, according to RT, is that Wanda Nara used a television interview to basically reveal that Perisic and Icardi don't get on and that all is not well in the Inter Milan dressing room, so she's leaking personal details about all the players, and shit has hit the fan. So Mauro Icardi, it looks like he will be leaving. Joe,
finally,
where do you think... yeah, we finally got there. Joe, where do you think he should go?
I think there's three destinations that he could end up at. I think there's Real Madrid, which seem like the obvious suitors, obviously potentially looking for a Benzema replacement. He's, 7 years younger than Benzema, something like that. I think Chelsea is not the worst option as well. And I think the third option, where I think he would potentially be best suited, is Bayern Munich.
Okay.
I don't know whether Bayern will pay the money, and I also don't think they're the sort of club that will want to have to deal with an agent like Wanda Nara. So that will be an issue. But in terms of just footballing style, I think he is a really good replacement for Robert Lewandowski. I think he's, 5 years younger? 6 years younger? Something like that. And he just aligns nicely with their style of play. I think Robert Lewandowski is an operator inside the 18-yard box, exactly what Mauro Icardi is. Mauro Icardi does not like to get involved in build-up play. He has very little touches per game. I remember one game he had 8 touches, 10 touches, something like that, didn't
Against
he?
Spurs, I think.
Yeah, against Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
But he is so clinical. He doesn't take many shots. You see some shot monsters like Harry Kane as well, upwards of 5 shots. Mauro Icardi, way less than that. But again, super clinical. And that's what, for me, Robert Lewandowski does best, just super clinical. I think Robert Lewandowski's expected goals this season is 19. He's obviously only sitting on 13, 14, something like that, about the same as Luka Jovic. But he's getting no younger. I think if they got a big offer now by Munich for Robert Lewandowski, they would potentially consider it. And I think Icardi would be a great replacement. The same way I think he would at Real Madrid too, for Benzema, but I've previously heard quotes from Real Madrid saying that they wouldn't deal with Wanda Nara, so I don't know whether he'd go there. And then the final option is Chelsea. Don't think they're going to keep Mauro Icardi for longer than 18 months. They have been rumoured to be in talks with Luka Jovic, which we obviously talked about on the Sunday Vibes Extra Time podcast. But I also think he'll end up at Barcelona. So Icardi to Chelsea could be a logical option. For me, though, Bayern Munich is a great fit for Mauro Icardi, and I actually want to see him away from Inter. I think he's too good for Inter Milan. I know you don't like him.
I think there's more to forward play than just goals, and I don't think Bayern Munich can just have a goal scorer in there. I think they need more than that. I think their attack hasn't worked as fluently this season as in seasons past. And when I've seen Icardi, I think he's pretty much anonymous except for scoring goals, which is he averages something like 13 passes a game in Serie A. And he's not the quickest, he doesn't dribble that much, he doesn't create that much for his teammates. He's a pure goal scorer. And I just really wasn't that impressed when I saw him at Wembley versus Spurs as well. So I'm just not as obsessed with Icardi as the rest of Europe seemed to be. But Chris, what do you think about Icardi turning up in Bavaria? Do you think that's a good move?
I think if he was to work at Bayern Munich, they'd need to upgrade their wide talent massively. Because at the moment, I do think Lewandowski is responsible for bringing the wide players into play. They have a tendency to come inside, don't they? Ian Robben and Frank Ribery need replacing. Kingsley Coman and Serge Gnabry probably not up to it in the long term. And for me, someone who's more adept across that forward line like Timo Werner, who can come in from the left, who can generally bring others into play, is probably a better fit. I think Mauro Icardi is the calibre of player Bayern Munich will probably be looking for as Lewandowski ages out. But I don't think Lewandowski is going to age out for another 2 or 3 years at the very least. He's never been heavily reliant on pace, has he? He's a physical presence if they want to go direct. I think they'll probably be looking for... I mean, Thomas Muller playing wide has been a problem this season. James Rodriguez falling out with the manager are probably a bigger problem than finding a replacement for Lewandowski. So I don't think they'll part with the funds that would be necessary to prize Icardi from their club, especially when they could keep it, in the league like they like to with Timo Werner. And he seems like a good boy, doesn't he?
He does.
I don't think they'd tolerate Mauro Icardi. I'm really struggling to think.
Not many great locations.
Who'd be better than Timo Werner? Or where he could go, and not least because I ate an inordinate amount of food yesterday and I'm in a massive food coma this morning. My head is like a sponge, honestly. Korean barbecue, excellent. But
he does have a €105 million release clause, though, Mauro Icardi. I think he's active for like 2 weeks or a week.
Yeah, it's a week in the transfer market, isn't it, to clubs outside Italy. And you could see PSG not really being put off by his personal profile. You could see them maybe pursuing him if Edinson Cavani does, leave PSG, because he's got, a year left on his contract? I believe it's up in 2020 in the summer, isn't it? And he's on a very hefty wage. I think it's €10 million a year. So, and again, Edinson Cavani is probably more adept at bringing others into play. He played on the left wing, didn't he, when Zlatan Ibrahimovic was there, so he's got a bit more to his all-round game than just finishing, but just finishing has become his responsibility in that PSG side. No less because he can leave that to Neymar, he can leave that to Mbappe, so maybe Icardi's better suited to the capital club.
We've got a couple of
shout. I kind of like the idea.
I think that's better than Bayern. I think that's more likely to happen than Bayern as well. Who would you guys say would be good? Because the second part of this question is who would be a good replacement for Icardi? Chris, have you had any thoughts about this?
Yeah, I've got a couple, and I've got to say the old boys are killing it in Serie A this season. So there's no one domestically speaking who has really grabbed my attention. So Quagliarella's got something like 14, 15 goals. You've got Ronaldo and Duvan Zapata up front. I think he's on 16 goals for Atalanta. And there has been rumours that he's tickled the pickle of Beppe Marotta, no less, I'm guessing, because of his workmanlike approach to the game. He's a player who was sort of brought in at the top of Italian football, and then it didn't really work out for him, and he's had to work his way back up with the likes of Sampdoria.
Definitely. He's been around the park, hasn't he?
With the likes of Atalanta, and this is his most prolific season to date, I believe. 16 goals and 4 assists so far in 23 league starts. So having a hugely impressive campaign, but he is 27, he is 28. This feels like an Inter signing, but an Inter signing they'd make, it'd be a squad addition. I think there'd be uproar from the Inter fans who are looking, to bring back they're hungry for the glory days, aren't they? I'm not sure they'd welcome Duvan Zapata through the doors as a replacement for Mauro Icardi. I think there's some more prodigious talent, I guess, in Rodrigo de Paul. I've quite liked him for a while. Those numbers have dropped off dramatically recently. I think 9 goals, 3 assists in 20-odd starts for Udinese. He kind of plays on the left-hand side a little bit, I guess, as well. But maybe Sebastian Haller, Luka Jovic's partner in crime would be a decent addition. He's been an assist merchant whilst quietly clocking up the goals this season as well, hasn't he, over at Frankfurt. So There's no one domestically who I think is a natural heir to the throne, although Dybala has been spoke about.
No, come on, that's absolutely ridiculous. Dybala cannot join Inter Milan.
He's Morata's obsession, isn't he? That's who he wants.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely no chance of them being able to get him out. He's gonna, if he does leave Juventus, it'll be for a Barcelona or a Real Madrid, I should imagine, in the summer. I would put my life on the line if I did not join Inter.
I did see reports today of 40 million. George dropping his papers behind the camera. 40 million and Mo Salah for Dybala.
Nah, joke. Absolutely no chance.
40 million and Mo Salah.
Yeah, I think it was in Calcio Mercato this morning.
That's a proper football manager deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Never going to happen. I think the man you mentioned, I think Edinson Cavani potentially going the other way is not the worst shout. I also think they'll be interested in the sort of player like a Belotti. Who he obviously had that massive breakthrough season, has gone under the radar a little bit. He's got back to scoring ways, I think, a little bit this season.
He's got 7 goals this season.
But I think that's the sort of area they'll be looking at. Belotti, maybe a Michy Batshuayi, who fits that sort of profile of maybe out of favour a little bit and not quite hitting the heights they once hit, but equally Beppe Marotta will back himself to improve them. Yeah. So I think maybe a Michy Batshuayi is not the worst shout for an Inter Milan.
Yeah, it's worrying times for Spalletti if they let Icardi go, because he's been so, the fulcrum of that side goal scoring wise as well. I think they'd also be potentially worth really backing Lautaro Martinez and bringing in another couple of wingers as well, because Perisic isn't getting any younger, Kendraver as well. Someone like Nicolas Pepe at Lille's had a great year. Backing up a great year last year as well. He won't be in the same price bracket as some of these other players that are linked with. If you could get him for 40, really back Lautaro Martinez and reinvest in other areas of the squad, because that squad is quite ageing in certain areas. They've got a great defence, but
yeah, they should go and spend massive amounts of money on Memphis Depay. If they really had some ambition, they should go and put loads of money into Memphis Depay, because he would be a superstar at Inter.
Yeah, there's some. France is fertile ground at the moment, isn't it, for sort of that player between the 40 and 50 million mark that might go on and improve their value in years to come. So Lyon, would he depart Lyon for Inter at the moment?
With enough money, I think he would be tempted. But equally, there's other options, isn't there, out in France? You have a look at, if I was Inter, I'd be having a look at Thauvin. I don't think he'd be the worst option. You could probably get him for around 40 to 50 million euros, I reckon.
Well, I did see that owner said he would reject 80. Wow. That's just, I think that's...
Okay, he says that until the money's on the table, and then serious questions would be asked. And also, you wouldn't have to play the Premier League premium. I think you'd probably get him for 20 million less than a Premier League side would. Premier League side would be probably looking 60, 70. But I don't think that you say the same for other clubs across Europe.
Fair. So let's conclude with final thoughts. Joe, one word, where do you think Icardi's going?
He'll end up at Madrid.
Chris?
I think he's going to stay. I think they'll sort it out. But PSG, they're a club and player who deserve each other.
So. Nice. I agree with PSG. I can see Wanda Nara loving it in Paris. Anyway, Menes, there's your answer. Hope you enjoyed it. We're not quite sure, but on to the next. Right, we're moving on to big match previews now. We've got a slightly different thing to give you this week, because basically there weren't any big match previews. There weren't any big games at all in Europe. Atalanta AC Milan was the best we could do, so we decided instead to profile 2 players that we don't know a lot about, but we've done a little research. We want to give you a little bit of information on 2 players that you should definitely keep an eye on. Starting with a young lad at Celta Vigo, Christopher.
Yes, he came to my attention after I did a scout report on Pione Sisto. He's also putting up very similar numbers, and in fact is enjoying quite a fruitful season so far. So 22-year-old attacking midfielder Brais Mendes, who will take on Levante on Saturday at 12 o'clock.
Big game.
Set your alarms.
Probably should have had that as the big match preview.
I'm not sure that a plethora of you will be tuning in for that, but might be worth keeping an eye on this guy's development. So he joined Celta Vigo from Villarreal's youth setup in 2012, rose through the ranks, made his debut as a 20-year-old. In 17-18 he made 20 appearances, only 12 starts though. Played just over 950 minutes, only scored 1 goal and provided 1 assist, so not the most prolific first season while he was finding his feet, but his underlying numbers still look pretty promising. They look like they look like something that could be built on, basically. So 2.1 shots, almost a key pass a game, 1.5 dribbles, 0.3 expected goals and assists. So maybe a little bit unfortunate not to have more than just the 2 goal contributions. And basically, Celta have been going through a tumultuous time of late. 3 different managers. So Juan Unzu, who's actually the former assistant to Luis Enrique at Barcelona, was sacked after finishing a very respectable 13th. Not sure about what went on there even. If you want to give us some context, stick it in the comments below. Then they brought in Antonio Mohamed, and he only won 3 of his first 12 games and was subsequently sacked. And that's when they brought in Miguel Cardoso, who is there now. But despite that turbulent time, Brais Mendes has pretty much shone. So he's played in all but 3 of Celta's 23 games so far this season, with 4 goals and 7 assists.
Right. It's not bad,
11
really
goal
nice
involvements at a team like Celta Vigo. So no doubt that sort of the top, I mean not the top 4, but sort of maybe from Sevilla down to Valencia might be keeping an eye on this guy, although Valencia, are they still in 15th? Just draw FC at the moment, aren't they? But yeah, particularly, well, not necessary. Which has been particularly impressive considering that Celta Vigo are still struggling. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games, conceding 15 in the process. So he's doing his job on the attacking end, but defensively still pretty porous this side. They're just a point above the relegation spots, which is a shame because in seasons gone by they've played some really good football. You know, Iago Aspas has enjoyed a purple patch there. We like Sisto. I like
Gomez up front.
John Guidetti. No one else really did, but, just because he scored a banging free kick against Inter Milan. But yeah, and he's improved his stats yet again this season. So it's a good case here of kind of identifying some with decent numbers and sort of following them for a year or 2 and persisting with them. And 2.8 shots, 2.1 key passes, 2.3 dribbles. He can play right or centrally. So really diverse. Overperforming for a really poor side, and I think is probably available for, I don't know at this point, 15 to 20 mil. So nice. Euros, that is.
I like the profile.
Euros on the pound.
Indeed.
Yeah, no, not the most concise there. I lost my voice about 3 times.
But no,
it's the Korean chicken repeating on me.
Joe, who you?
A few low-level Premier League teams could do with a player like that.
Yeah,
attacking midfielder, he can also slot out.
Joe, who are you bringing to the table?
Another La Liga starlet at Leganés. This time, Youssef On-Nesyri. I want to talk about here. 21 years old. He actually scored Leganés' first ever La Liga hat-trick at the weekend. He has been busy. He's a striker. 8 goals and 2 assists in just 1,300 minutes so far this season for Leganés, which is not too bad at all. He's a Moroccan, 6'2", and a monster in the air. I think he's top 5 in the whole of Europe for aerial duels won as a forward.
Love it.
Oh yeah.
Which is pretty bloody decent. He's averaging 3.6 shots per 90, which is around about Mauro Icardi sort of numbers, isn't it? Although not quite as clinical of a finisher as Mauro Icardi.
If Middlesbrough get promoted then, Tony Pulis. Perfect. He sounds tailor-made for you.
Exactly, because he's also taking 2.9 shots in the box, which is a really good number, not shooting from speculative areas whatsoever. I think he's just well worth keeping an eye on. He's probably not going to be a superstar, but again, you'll probably see him climb through the ranks of a Valencia in about 3 years' time, something like that.
Why do you keep bringing Valencia up, mate?
Because I think they are 15th now, and they're going to be in for a big old squad overhaul, and also they beat Celtic, so I just want to really rub it in.
All set for a little run in the Europa League. Speaking of Europa League, guys, we've got to talk about Arsenal briefly.
Oh God, yes.
Oh my days.
Literally losing to Farmers, because Bate Borisov does in fact stand for like Borisov, our agricultural tractor electronics company. So genuine
And
farmers.
The pitch looked like it had been attacked by a group of farmers. It was pretty much a ploughed field they played on.
Wasn't Hleb playing in central midfield as well?
Hleb was gliding across the surface.
Rolling back the years.
Like a piece of paper, mate, just blowing in the wind.
Blowing in the wind.
Beautiful stride length.
Lacazette with a very angry elbow at the end of the game as well.
Who Goldbridge apparently described as the French Charlie Austin.
Yeah, pretty much nailed it. And also, also I saw a lot of a lot of tweets about Denis Suárez coming onto the pitch when he should in fact be working at Top Man.
That is,
which is just delightful.
Such an unreal tweet.
Because if Mesut Ozil can't get into this team as a creator, but Denis Suárez is coming on with the build of a Zara employee, I mean, it is interesting management by Emery, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I worked at Top Man and.
Did you? You are such a top man.
We have very similar physiques, me and Dennis. I actually think I work with Dennis. can remember him size cubing clothes.
It's just nice to take the piss out of Arsenal. I know that like they'll come back and beat him second leg fairly comfortably.
To be fair, Chelsea had a tough time against Malmo as well.
Yeah.
Didn't look
the
great
atmosphere
in that
at
game
Malmo
either.
looked bouncy.
At least got the job done though. Whereas Arsenal, 1-0 in Belarus.
Worrying times.
They had to put the goalposts up beforehand as well. Unai Emery was on the shoulders of Mustafi hanging up the nets. Absolutely
Mustafi, the only player. No. They have beaten 2 English teams, Everton and Arsenal. Common denominator in both teams, Mustafi.
Oh, bloody jam jar, Ed.
10 years apart as well, and he's still in there.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Hates the nation of Belarus, Mustafi. Right, so those are our, not so much a big match preview, more big match player previews. Hope you enjoyed it. Who should we profile next week? Did you enjoy this new section? Should it replace big match previews full stop? Let us know in the comments below. Let's get on to quick fire question. Right, first one comes in from John_77_John. Just a little bit of repetition there. John. And he says, will Mbappe take PSG to the Champions League final? Joe, what are your thoughts on this?
Quite possibly. I think if Neymar comes back and fires on all cylinders, he'll obviously help because he's a guy who can win games single-handedly, as we saw at Barcelona against PSG. But yeah, I think they're definitely up there as lead contenders alongside maybe Barcelona and Manchester City, I would say right now. I think Juventus also in with a shout. I think Bayern Munich, for some reason, in my head, are really going to get whacked about by Liverpool. I don't know why, but I feel like that...
They haven't been great in the Champions League so far.
They haven't been great, but Bayern Munich's backline feels so slow. And Liverpool's front line are absolute gas. I just feel like that is going to be a bit of a pummeling there. So I think PSG, definite contenders, but they've got to keep Marco Verratti fit. If they can keep Marco Verratti fit, then they can go deep. If they don't, I think you'll see what we saw at Liverpool when they struggled to progress the ball a little bit. As good as Marquinhos is as a break-up man, and we saw him play Paul Pogba off the pitch, Verratti's incisiveness is so key to PSG. Yeah. And I think when he's not fit, they struggle to progress the ball a little bit against elite opposition.
Chris, were you impressed with the Cavani less and Neymar less PSG on Tuesday?
I was impressed with Tuchel finding a way, to unpick Manchester United without his star players, and that's maybe what they've lacked in recent years. Sort of, well, they've had high caliber managers, haven't they? Laurent Blanc was a little bit more of a pragmatist, I guess. Carlo Ancelotti,
Unai,
again, Unai. Thomas Tuchel maybe a little bit more daring then, and it paid off. The risks he took against Manchester United. But yeah, I think Mbappe has the same amount of goals now as R9 in the Champions League, and he looks like as long as you can get him service of any sort, that he's gonna run amok. I think Joe covered that off pretty well though. So
yeah.
Let's move on.
I mean, they'll definitely be favourites to go through to the quarterfinals. Can they get to their first ever semi-final though? That will be the big match in the next round. Right. Next one comes in. Oh, this is an interesting one actually. It's from James GR series of numbers. He says, would Sancho get into Spurs' first team if everyone was fit? Chris, what do you think about this? Because Joe actually thought no on Twitter yesterday, but I argued yes. And I'll explain why. I changed to a 4-2-3-1, drop Eriksen into deeper lying, central midfield alongside, Winks or Wanyama or whoever. It doesn't really matter. Sancho, Ali, Son behind Kane. That would be epic.
Epic. Do you do the voiceover for those adverts? Epic. I do think there you do want Christian Eriksen more advanced up the pitch. I'm not sure I'd be utilising him as a deep-lying playmaker in the same mould as Luka Modric. Probably wasted distributing from deep because he is really incisive around the boxes and he's got that pitching wedge foot, and not many people in Europe sort of can deliver the same sort of service that he can into the box. So I wouldn't want to waste Eriksen's talents, but I think there's still a way of incorporating him in there. Maybe in a 4-3-3. So you have maybe it's Dele Alli that drops back into the midfield, and you can lose someone like a Harry Winks or an Eric Dyer. So maybe you have Ali, Eriksen. And I mean, who else plays in central midfield now for Tottenham?
Wanyama, Dyer.
So yeah, then a more defensively minded player. You have your Casemiro in there. Then you've sort of got your kind of Real Madrid dynamic of late, and then maybe you have Sancho, Kane, Son.
Love it.
Have I left anyone key out? I'm not quite sure.
I don't think
but,
so.
But I think, yeah, maybe preferable in a 4-3-3.
He doesn't get in the first 11.
He doesn't get in the first 11. I think he's a great rotation option. I'm sure Pochettino would find him 20 games a season. But I think right now, Heung-min Son is one of the best forwards in world football. I think Jadon Sancho is an incredible talent, and given 2 years, he would probably be a first-team regular at Tottenham. But Kane is irreplaceable. Dele Alli, I don't think you can sacrifice his second striker play to play in midfield. He's so good, so good.
But if you get the goal contributions from Jadon Sancho, that's less necessary. And Dele Alli, as he's shown this season, has been very impressive on the defensive end as well, and he doesn't really give up on the attacking end in that sense. So kind of a box to box, I'd imagine he would
be great in there as well. But I just don't think you can afford to have Heung-min Son and Jadon Sancho in the same front three with Christian Eriksen as well, and Dele Alli and Harry Kane. I think you would get quickly exposed by some top teams playing that way. I think as good as Dele Alli is going backwards, I think it would just be too risky to play him in a double pivot, no matter how good the defence. You'd have to have N'Golo Kante in there, I think.
Yeah, you wouldn't play him in a double pivot though, would you? But it'd be more like it'd be a 4-5-1 when you're defending if you had those two wingers. Sancho's been pretty good on the defensive end as well. Lucien Favre does kind of insist that his wingers get back.
Who would be the left winger? Heung-min Son.
Yeah, so I'd go 4-3-3. I wouldn't play Dele Alli in a pivot. No way. That'd be ridiculous. Didn't he play central midfield for MK Dons? I think that's probably as reserved as he's been.
So the 4-3-3, you'd have Eriksen and Dele flanking a defensive midfielder?
Yeah, probably.
That is attacking, that's brave. I think you could play that against like a Burnley.
Got your controller, you've got your box to box.
Don't
get me wrong, your CDM would have to be
You'd have to be
incredible.
N'Golo Kante. Yeah. I think you'd have to have the best centre mid in the world to play that.
Fernandinho Kante.
Yeah, but equally, I think if he was to join a team like Tottenham, he would crush it there, and in 2 years you would see him as a regular starter. But just right now, I think Dele Alli is still.
But look who they've got coming through right now. So Harry Winks, no disrespect to Harry Winks and is it Oliver Skippy?
Yeah.
But Jadon Sancho is a different gear from anything they're producing or anything that they can bring in. So hypothetically, if this opportunity presents itself, I think they just find a way to fit him in the side, and they probably won't be able to afford a player like him in 2 years' time when he's at the point where he'd command the first team place.
I don't even think they'll be able to afford him now. I think he's like an €80 million player.
To clarify,
already.
We haven't heard any rumours. This is just a bit of fun. It's a bit of fantasy. Sometimes.
I think there's more issues that need addressing in that Tottenham Hotspur team. I think they're probably going to need another centre back in the summer and 2 centre mids.
Fair. Well, there's your answer. We think Sancho would be a great addition, but it's not going to happen.
Final
quick-fire question comes in from Jake Quasi17, and he says, "Is Dybala the best possible replacement for Hazard?" Which is obvious, yes. I think a more interesting question is Dybala going to leave this summer? What do you guys think about that?
I don't think he'll leave this summer. No.
Is Dybala a good replacement for Hazard? Sorry, is that what you said? Right?
Is Dybala a good replacement for Hazard? Yeah, he would be a great replacement, but Chelsea are not going to be able to get him. I don't think they can afford his wages. I don't think they can afford his transfer fee. Roman Abramovich isn't putting money into that club anymore. And quite frankly, they are no longer of the calibre to be able to get Paulo Dybala. Right, for me anyway, I think they're a significant drop-off from Manchester City and Liverpool in terms of teams you would want to join in the Premier League. Yeah. And if Chelsea want him, Real Madrid and Barcelona are going to want you as well, and you end up at Real Madrid or Barcelona. So if Dybala leaves this summer, it will be for Spain. I don't see any world in which Paulo Dybala leaves Juventus this summer though anyway.
If you're Paulo Dybala, are you going to want to play out on the left, which is where you would be if you went to Chelsea? I think Sarri would probably go in for Insigne to the same tune, the same money it would require to bring in Paulo Dybala. I don't think he's perhaps the best fit for Chelsea at the moment. And yeah, like Joe put, I don't think it'd be his #1 destination either. Did the question intimate a swap deal? Is that?
No, he just meant Hazard leaving. Would Dybala be a good replacement? Yeah. He obviously would, but it's not going to happen, I'm afraid.
He'd be if Barcelona can't get Luka Jovic, which they're obviously in talks with. I think I'm surprised they're not going for Paulo Dybala anyway. I think Paulo Dybala would be a fabulous Barcelona player in between the lines, but maybe they just can't afford him.
Messy, yes,
maybe they just can't afford him.
Yeah, at the moment, I mean, not being able to incorporate Coutinho into the side, all that well to the tune of 150 million is probably going to affect any potential move for Dybala. It's kind of a similar scenario, I guess.
He smells of Madrid to me, though, Dybala, doesn't he? Like, that's just a Madrid signing. I can totally imagine him doing kick-ups at the Bernabeu.
Again, though, like with Solari in place, it's his position as a number 10 has become not his downfall this season, but he's finding himself a little bit more marginalised than he's perhaps been used to in times gone by because of Ronaldo returning as a traditional number 9, and he is the best version of himself in the number 10 role, isn't he? And Isco is not really getting much joy at Real Madrid in the number 10 role, playing that 3 across the front. Allegri's kind of switching up again, isn't he? Sarri doesn't really play with a 10, so it'd have to be.
He's going to stay at Juve for me. I don't see why he would leave. He's got the opportunity to play alongside Cristiano Ronaldo. He's going to win league titles.
Be up in the mix for Champions League.
Yeah.
Yeah, Juventus rarely lose their best players. But that's all we've got time for Continental Club this week. Anything you guys would like to push to?
We've got We Need to Talk going out today on Football Daily, so come over and watch that.
Yeah, the FC have got a new episode of Squad Goals live, a new episode of Sevens. If you're not subscribed to them, please go and do so.
Yes, and please go and check out the first episode of Stat Wars the Champions Season 3, which was me against Bobby Seagull. Tight game.
Tough.
Very intelligent guy.
Tough.
Very intelligent guy, but I won't ruin the score. But go and check that out. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.